What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Guy with Hat, and today I'm gonna do a fast deck profile. I'm gonna keep you here maximum 10 minutes. Anything longer, it's my editor's fault. If you don't know, we're talking about the new starter deck that came out for Digimon. They came out with two new starter decks. One is red, one is blue. I took the blue deck and did some slight adjustments, and I think it works pretty well. It's a very combo heavy deck. It's got a lot of card advantage, and let's hop right into it. Right off the bat, 4 alt art Elecumons. I mean, they're vanillas. You know, they're just you'd call them, I don't know. In other games they call them weak beat sticks. I call these weak sticks. The level 3s. They're cheap to evolve, good damage, or a good stat line at 3,000. 4 copies of those. 4 copies. The starter deck includes 2, so you have to grab 2 more if you want these. But 4 copies of the new Vmon. Basically, he lets you warp Digivolve from 4 to 6. And if your opponent has a level 6 on the board, so you can make some pretty big comebacks and potential swings here with this card. And then also, he has the on attack effect. I'm holding up, but you can't read it. But if you have less than 7 cards in your hand when you attack, draw a card. So keep this in mind. The card advantage for this deck is going to be really, really important. And you'll see at the end why. Next up, for the level 3s, we've got 4 copies of the new card out of the starter deck, Dracomon. So he basically is a searcher. You drop him, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, excuse me, top 3, and you grab a Digimon with Doramon in its name somewhere, which is a really, really flexible effect for blue. Yeah, really, really great just for searching stuff out and keeping card advantage when you play level 3s raw. Because normally you don't get the, you only get the draw if they evolve, right? And last, to fill out the deck, I got 2 copies of the older Vmon. You should probably recognize this if you've played the game within BT3. Really, really good card. It lets you swing and not die to, you know, security Digimon. Jamming is a really good effect. Hold on to that. So that's all for the level 3s. The level 4s, pretty straightforward as well. Because it's blue, you're really focused on value here. So the first copies of level 4 is going to be all 4 Shiramon. Why is it in here? Well, it's a blocker, so you need some defense somewhere. And second of all, it's 1 to Digivolve. 1 to Digivolve is important here. Next up is going to be the second set of 1 cost evolves, and that's going to be the alt art Gorimon from the starter deck. So yes, a lot of the cards in the starter decks feature alt art if they're already released cards. So I like this better than the original one. So yeah, there you go. Also pretty good stat line at 6,000. Bam. One of the coolest cards to come out in all of the starters are the new level 4 security Digimon. So red has one and blue has one as well. Blue's is more value focused. Again, with the security effect, whenever it battles, it drops into the board afterwards, so it's pretty good on defense. And then the on-play effect, which you get if you check for security, is draw 2 cards. So you check this in security, 2 more cards off the top. If you have enough memory to play it raw, then it's more card advantage, right? And these are going to help you push yourself to getting 8 cards in hand, which is super important for your level 6s. So that's all for the level 4s. You got 12 of those. The next up are the level 5s. I like to keep the level 5s pretty simple. First off, 2 copies of the alt art Mondaimon. You got, again, he's in here just because he's cheap. 2 costs evolve for level 5 and also just a 5 drop. Sometimes if your opponent gives you 3 memory, I opt to just drop a raw level 5 so I can get to my level 6s a little bit faster. And it puts a little bit more pressure on my opponent. Also, if I'm just hard up for cards like level 3s, level 4s, he's oftentimes the best card to play. Shout out to the little homie right there. What's my man doing right there, you know? where are the Edamon decks at, man? And then next up is going to be 4 copies of UlforceVeedramon. So these guys work well because Dracomon searches them out, but their effects are also what you're really looking for here. First off, the jamming effect is kind of nice. Again, being able to swing into security without having to worry about, you know, you being destroyed by Digimon is good. But what's really important here is that security, not security, but that inheritance effect, where if you have 8 or more cards in hand, this Digimon gets security attack +1. So all that card advantage we've been building up with our earlier, you know, level 3s, level 4s, kind of all snowball into this card here, especially when it evolves. And I also have 2 more UlforceVeedramons. These are the other ones. I think these are, what is this, BT2? Yeah, the BT2 UlforceVeedramon. On evolve, they basically, if you have a blue tamer, then you can make one of your Digimon active, which is pretty nice. If you have like a jammer, like a little Vmon somewhere on the board, you can Digivolve this guy and then unrest the Veedramon and swing again if you have memory still. Additionally, if on inheritance, if a Digimon becomes active during your main phase, they gain jamming, which is really nice. So if you have Digimon that can come active again in some form or fashion, then they can start swinging and don't worry about whatever gets checked to security. And finally, this is where the deck gets really scary. We have, first up, 2 copies of, for the level 6s anyway, I've got 2 copies of the starter deck UlforceVeedramon. First off, the artwork is tight. Check that out, man. That's crazy. Second off, Evolve Effect, he basically returns level 4 back to your opponent's hand, which is nice if you want to, remove a blocker off the board somehow. Additionally, on attack, if you have 8 cards or more in your hand, he becomes active again. So again, you get all those cards that give you the card advantage in hand. You've got, one of your UlforceVeedramons, you may be swinging for 2, or it has jamming, and, yeah, it's pretty good. If you're swinging for 2, then this card here itself is, taking out 4 security on a single given turn, or he's taking out 2 security, no problem. A little heavy, though, at 4 Evolve, but I think the effect is still not bad. I think it's still worth it. And probably the star of this deck, and the guy that makes this deck super busted, in my opinion, is the original copy of UlforceVeedramon from BT2, who basically says that if you have a blue tamer, whenever that blue tamer rests because of its effect or some other effect on the board that rests it, you make this Digimon active again. Additionally, if once a turn, whenever this Digimon becomes active, you gain +1 memory. So you're probably wondering, well, that would mean this deck has to have a lot of tamer support, right? If I want to be able to swing for 2 security with my UlforceVeedramons, or have jamming, I need to be able to swing multiple times, so I'm going to need a lot of tamers. Don't worry, we'll get there. So speaking of the tamers here, I've got, this deck actually runs 5 tamers, a little bit more than the standard. I run 2 copies of Joe and Sora from BT5. They basically say that if your opponent has a Digimon without any sources, then you get +2 memory at the start of the turn. And additionally, if whenever you swing, you can remove 2 sources from under a Digimon by resting this tamer. So what that means is, whenever you attack, you have the option to rest this tamer for Homeboy's effect. Shoutouts to the box topper, by the way. And the other 3 tamers that I have in this deck are actually the promotion tie tamers, which are really, really good. Again, if you have a Digimon with, Veedramon in its name somewhere, like UlforceVeedramon or UlforceVeedramon, basically you can rest him at any point during the turn and either draw a card or give that Digimon +1000 DP. So again, more card advantage, or you can buff him up to make him get over the bigger security threats. So the big combos in this deck are basically being able to get to an UlforceVeedramon, or UlforceVeedramon, excuse me, with one of these guys here. So one of your UlforceVeedramons who have security attack +1, and have at least 2 tamers on the board. If you have one of these and one of these, you're basically swinging for 6 security, which I actually played a game last night and I almost killed the guy in 1 turn. So yeah, you get 2 of these out, you're in a great position. You get 3 of them out, you can pretty much end the game immediately. The deck does have a couple of options to help out and make sure that you can get into your UlforceVeedramons and find the Digimon and the cards you need. And the first thing that I'm going to show you guys for the options are the new blue memory boosts. So for each of the starter decks that came out, they include a memory boost of every color. So you get 1 red, 1 yellow, 1 green, 1 blue, 1 purple, 1 black. And these memory boosts are super useful. They have a nice effect that lets you basically, when on play, look at the top 4 cards of your deck and just grab any any blue Digimon at all. For the red one, it's a red Digimon. For yellow, it's yellow, etc., etc. They also stick around after that. And after they're played, any turn afterward, you can destroy them on the field and gain 2 memory. So if any time you just need a little bit of extra memory, these guys have your back. This is just super useful if you're playing a couple of Digimon that are 4 costs for level 6s. You can have that big turn where you have 2 memory or 3 memory, spend your blue memory boost, get enough memory to digivolve into the level 6 that costs 4, and then actually get its on play effect, its on attack effects. And last but not least, and I'm not sure why I have this in here, but sometimes I don't know. I feel like I want to have a little bit more defense in the deck, and that is I have one copy of the option from the starter deck, which is called V-Wing Blade, which basically allows you to return one level 6 or lower Digimon on the field to your opponent's hand. I know. There's a lot of cases where Digivolving into a level 6 gives it a really good effect, and this is basically just giving your opponent that again. But, I don't know, blue is kind of harder for removal, and this one's cheap enough, and I think decent enough to just run a copy of. If it gets checked in security, it's usually really good, so you can do that. But, yeah, I like to just have a little bit of something in there for removal. That's just me. And last up, I should have started with these, but whatever. I guess this is what the power of editing is, right? So taking a look at the eggs, I've got one copy of the Chibimon that comes in the starter deck. So the Chibimon here doesn't do much, but his inheritance effect is if you have more than 8 cards in hand, the Digimon gets plus 1,000 DP. It's not awful, but it's okay. What you really want, though, are the 4 copies of, you know it, this card has been around since BT1. It's probably the best, blue Digitama out there, Whoopamon. And Whoopamon, of course, if your opponent has Digimon without any sources, when it attacks, you can draw 1 card. And when you're running the Tamers that remove sources, this effect is actually pretty decent. Like good old Sora and Joe right there. They remove sources, he gets to draw a card when they have no sources. It's a pretty good day. And so, yeah, there you have it. That's pretty much the whole deck. I mean, the name of the game really is to just get card advantage, get those 8 cards, get 2 Tamers out on the board, and then play your UlforceVeedramon, and just try to LTK in a single turn. It's pretty dang strong deck, and it's very, very fast. So if you're looking for, like, a little bit of an aggressive deck with some combo potential, I definitely recommend this one. Yeah, and that's about it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are there any cards that you would tech in other than the ones that I've named here? Are there any design decisions you would make? Would you include that one of V-Wing Blade just for the safety of having some removal? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time, and chat, say bye to these folks. Be nice.